I don't think I would ever want to be what you might call a leading lady in the complete sense of the word, because to me the most interesting thing to do in life is the character.
Getting into the minds of a character is why many actors do what they do. There's something powerful about inhabiting another person, even if they're not real. It can have major mental impacts, but many actors have had physical effects as well. Keep watching to learn about the actors who were left with lifelong disabilities due to filming. Buddy Ebsen.
The one thing that we will be known for, no matter what we've done anyplace else in the whole world, will be The Wizard of Oz. Well, we don't get any residuals, but we have a better thing than residuals. We have a kind of immortality and a great pride for being a part of a great American classic.
The immortality that the classic provided everyone in it is undeniable, but it came at a price. Buddy Ebsen is well known as the patriarch of the Beverly Hillbillies TV show. Before that, he had a film contract with MGM. He was originally cast as the Tin Man in the classic film The Wizard of Oz. Everything seemed fine at first. He recorded all his songs, finished 4 weeks of rehearsal, and got into costume. That's when tragedy struck. They tried tin, silver paper, and silver cloth-covered cardboard, but nothing looked quite right. Buddy had an allergic reaction to the aluminum makeup they settled on. It was so strong that after 9 days, he began to get short of breath and experienced severe cramps. His lungs started to fail, and he had to leave and spend 9 days straight in an oxygen tent. Jack Haley. Jack Haley came on to replace Buddy as the Tin Man. He wore a metallic paste instead. He did miss 4 days of filming, though, when it caused an eye infection, but it didn't cost him the job. He doesn't remember it fondly. He was asked if making the film was fun and said, like hell it was work. He still managed to become a major part of the film's charm. He said he used the same soft tone in the part that he used telling bedtime stories to his children. Ray Bolger. The stories of tragedy and injuries from The Wizard of Oz are unfortunately not over with the Tin Man. Ray Bolger was originally set to play the Tin Man. He moved on to the Scarecrow. His costume left him with permanent scars and lines on his face. The Poppy Field scene is known for its use of toxic asbestos to replicate fake snow. There was reportedly also asbestos in Ray's Scarecrow costume. It was meant to keep him safe during several scenes in which his character comes in contact with fire. Margaret Hamilton and Brett Danko. Speaking of fire, the Wizard of Oz's Wicked Witch suffered from it as well. Margaret and her stuntwoman, Bett Danko, were filming a scene where the witch disappeared in a cloud of smoke. The crew had constructed a hole beneath the set covered in a piece of aluminum. Bett was meant to appear out of it and then catapult into the smoke. A crew member fell into the hole and landed on her shoulder. She could barely drive or raise her arm afterwards. The director, Victor Fleming, was demanding and wouldn't let anything take away his vision. He wanted Margaret's famous line, "I'll get you, my pretty, and your little dog too," and her famous exit to be shot together. That meant she had to do her own stunt. The first take went fine, but the director wanted to do it a few more times just in case. They kept going wrong, and he started losing his patience. Margaret remembers being told, "I want this shot done right and done right now." In the next take, the flames and smoke came out before she was below set. She got second-degree burns on her face and third-degree burns on her hand. It even burned off the toxic green copper-based paint on her body. Her raw flesh had to be cleaned with acetone. She said, quote, "I'll never, as long as I live, have anything that takes my breath away like that pain." Margaret returned to filming 6 weeks later, but the nerves in her hand were still exposed. It was time to do the skywriting scene. She didn't want to take any more chances with fire, even though they assured her it was safe. Bett had to be brought back as a stunt double. She remembers everything. The scene started fine. Her cape covered a pipe that was mounted to her broom and produced smoke. Victor insisted he also wanted the cape to blow in the wind with the pipe still hidden underneath her. They mounted it under the broom's bicycle seat. The third take was a disaster as the pipe exploded. Bett said, quote, "I felt as though my scalp was coming off. I guess that's because my hat and my black wig were torn loose. They found them days later at the top of the stage. The explosion blew me off the broomstick. I managed to grab it with both hands and throw my leg over it. I hung upside down while the men handling the wires lowered the broomstick to the floor and put me face down on the stage. While I lay there on the floor waiting for the ambulance, the wardrobe woman came running in and she said, 'What did you do with the hat? I have to turn it in, you know.' She had to spend 11 days in the hospital due to a 2-inch deep burn on her leg. The studio brought in another stuntwoman to finish the scene. John Wayne. It's arguable about whether making a movie so beloved as The Wizard of Oz was worth all the horrible things that happened. But what about a film plagued with tragedy but widely considered the worst one in an actor's catalog? 1956's The Conqueror seemed like a sure hit. Epic desert stories were all the rage, and this cast was full of A-listers. It had too many problems to be anything but a flop, though. John Wayne was a poor fit for Genghis Khan. The film was too long and too serious at too long hours. Howard Hughes blew $6 million on the film, but that wasn't the worst part. It was the filming location. Any desert would have been difficult to work on. They faced the expected problems such as dried up water sources and heat stroke. What made The Conqueror notable was that they didn't just film in any desert. They filmed near a nuclear testing site. They were in the Escalante Desert, only 137 miles from the Nevada test site. The shoot began only a year after 11 nuclear tests had been performed there. 91 of the 220 cast and crew members developed cancer in the next decades. 46 of them died, including Dick Powell, Susan Hayward, Pedro Armendariz, and even John Wayne himself. He was keenly aware of it in his final interview.
Oh, I expect my life to end pretty soon. You know, I'm 71 years old. And I have great faith, though. I have unshakable faith.
Not all cancer cases may have been directly related to the nuclear tests. Many of the crew members smoked, for instance. Having so many of them develop it after filming so close to a nuclear test site seems a bit too difficult to dismiss as coincidence. Michael Landon. Michael Landon died of pancreatic cancer at age 54 in 1991. A show called Autopsy, The Last Hours Of, looks into the final hours of celebrities, especially if they had mysterious deaths. One episode focused on Michael and found he may have also experienced the ill effects of nuclear exposure. The Little House on the Prairie set was only 15 miles away from the Santa Susana Field Laboratory. It experienced a partial meltdown of a nuclear reactor in 1959. Everyone on the show spent 9 years filming in this dangerous location. Michael's co-star Karen Grassel, who played Caroline, admitted that at first it seemed like the perfect location. That was until the area began experiencing a cancer epidemic. Studies found the lab was the spot of one of the worst radioactive events in history. It was responsible for over 2,000 cancer deaths and led to a 60% increase in several types of cancers. Does that mean Michael was part of these statistics? The California Department of Health Services released a report on March 27, 1992, that there was no risk of cancer due to radiation exposure. Michael's condition worsened in his final days. He spent his last weekend with his wife, all 9 of his children, and his friend and business partner, Kent McCrae. All he wanted to do was spend time with loved ones. In one of his final interviews, he said,
"It's not really a matter of your loved ones becoming more precious to you because they're as precious as they can be. It's that you just notice more. You don't want to miss anything."
They kept watch over him in his final moments. Now it's time to hear from you. What's the best stunt you've ever seen in a film? Let us know in the comments section below.